We're joined now by Denver Police Department Deputy Chief Matt Murray to discuss this. Hey, thank you for coming in.
Absolutely, Kyle.
So you're positioning the Denver Police Department as a source for news, and I'm curious, are you doing journalism?
You know, that's a really good question, and it's something we've thought a lot about over the years. We are not a news organization, but we are an organization who distributes news from time to time and information. So I think it's an important distinction. I think it's one that you're raising, and we're happy to talk about.
So are you doing journalism?
I don't think we really are. We can't really be journalists. You can't have people with badges and guns coming up to people's house and doing interviews and the kinds of things that a free press does. That's not the role of the police department. But it is a new era, and information is now easily distributable and very quickly. And social media has obviously changed the game from the president on down to Channel 9. So we're trying to navigate that just like everybody else.
So I read your tweet this weekend is steering people away from sources of journalism toward official statements, which you label as news, which I won't fight you on that term. They're official position statements. I see that as dangerous.
So I would agree with you, and that's the impression that I left. I will say that tweet is we experiment. We do a lot of funny things. We do edgy things. We do experiments, and with 25,000 tweets, sometimes we get it wrong. And clearly, reaction to this tweet was not what I had intended it to be. We're not trying to steer people away from the media. We believe that the media is a critical piece. A free and independent media is a critical piece of a free society, and based on some of the things you've written too, Kyle, I will tell you that we also understand in the police department that because of the impact we can have on people's lives, we deserve a special degree of scrutiny, and the media is oftentimes in the best position to do that. So that's certainly not what I'm trying to say or what the department's trying to say. We believe that as part of a good community, we need to have a good relationship with the press as well. That was an intent to promote our site, to get a bigger audience, and obviously the message wasn't received that way by everybody who read it.
Tens of thousands of tweets, and sometimes one goes sideways, you and me both. Here's the reason why I think some people reacted to this. Look at the image selection there. Okay, that's not your public relations team, unless you're rolling hard.
No, and let me just say, I'm the one that wrote the tweet, and I'm the one that chose the picture, and I regret that I did. I was trying to say action, kind of breaking news, but it's certainly not the image. We work very hard not only on our public safety news that we're feeding through Twitter, but also on our relationship with the community, and probably could have chosen a much better picture. I wished I had. So I know the DPD spends a lot of time trying to build trust with the community. Mm-hmm. And when I saw that tweet, I thought, that is 180 degrees in the opposite direction. Because you think about societies where the state positions itself as the fastest, most accurate source of news, as you guys did, where the so-called newsmen have a pen in one hand and a gun in the other. Those people don't have trust. They just have power. They have raw power. You guys say you want trust. Yes, I agree, and I hear what you're saying, which is why I believe that that's not the best tweet we've ever had. We certainly won't write that again. But the intent was not as the message was received, and so I apologize for that.
That said, you guys are putting out official statements, which you describe as news, and as long as people understand the difference between news and journalism, okay, fair. What is your policy for corrections? I imagine you get facts wrong just like we get facts wrong, just like anybody gets facts wrong. What's your corrections policy?
Well, when we are aware of a correction, one of the things that we do is we talk to the media all the time. You know, we have over 100 interactions with the media and the public every week. So we let you know when we make a mistake, and from time to time we also put it out on the sorry, we have both a Facebook and a Twitter, so mm-hmm. both of them kind of serve a different purpose, but we'll put it out on the media too. Hey, this wasn't what we thought it was. We don't. If you look at two of the breaking news stories from Sunday, in both cases we talked to the media immediately after the tweet, but we don't have a huge amount of information on there because it is so new, and we're trying to make sure that we have it right. So there's not a lot of correction because the facts as we know them are pretty darn solid at that moment.
Mm-hmm. So I'm curious what kind of community reaction you got on this. I reacted as a journalist. I did not necessarily react as a citizen. Full disclosure, I'm a straight white guy who lives in a safe neighborhood and has never had a bad interaction with a cop. Have you heard from members of other communities on this, or just the journalists?
You know, primarily it was journalists that reacted to this, but it was pretty universal, which is one of the things that got my attention. And clearly that audience was reading something very different than what I had intended. There are a lot of people in the public, I have to tell you, Kyle, who are very interested in what we're doing and very appreciative of the ability to get information directly from us. And it is a brave new world, and I think we're all trying to figure out how to navigate that and what's the right thing to do. You know, we also realize there's an ethical discussion to this, which is what I think you're raising. What is the role of the police, the government, in disseminating information? But as I said at the beginning, I think it's really important for the media to hold us accountable. You asked for this interview last night at 1 in the morning, and here we are. I mean,
you've outed me as somebody who doesn't sleep well, but yes, yeah, that is a fact. Yep.
We very much believe that we have to be present, available, answer questions, be held accountable. When we blow it, we have to apologize and continue to do the best we can. We do have a really robust social media presence, and we want to have that relationship with the community so that when something like New York bombing today happens, we have a direct link to people and to the media who can get an even broader reach.
Mm-hmm. And understanding that having the trust of people on social media is as important for you guys as it is for us.
It's critical.
I gotta I apologize, I keep beating you to death in this tweet, but I got to bring up the thing that you said about ads. All right, so here's the deal. So you tweet about the ads and how your news feed doesn't have pop-ups or advertising of any kind. That's pretty rich from somebody who's taxpayer-funded and politician-allocated.
That's a fair point.
And you would recognize that the fact that my news-gathering operation is not taxpayer-funded, nor do politicians increase or decrease the budget, that gives me a level of independence that's valuable.
You're right. And so let me just tell you, I was actually looking, if you look on Sunday, we tweeted the video of the Sterling Fire Department with the neat carol of the bells and the lights.
Yeah.
So I was, on Saturday night, what prompted this tweet was I was looking for that video, and every single place I found it had an ad or a video. And it was frustrating. I thought, you know, if it's frustrating for me, it's probably frustrating for other people. I can probably get people to sign up to our feed if I say, hey, we don't do ads or pop-ups. It really was that simple, but I understand your point.
Yeah, you know who else hates pop-ups? Journalists whose work is covered by pop-ups, despite the fact that our salaries are paid by pop-ups. Last question for you. Clearly, we're at a moment in time in society in which there is a lot of antagonism toward the free press. The president is right out in the very front of that. As somebody who's been in town for 10 years covering Denver, I detect more of an adversarial posture from the Denver Police Department toward the press than I have in years past. Is that intentional?
No, I find that really interesting. We really think that it's a partnership. I will tell you, when we first started doing social media, and if you go back, and I'm sure there's a way to do that, we called ourselves Denver Police News, and we don't do that anymore because we've had a lot of these discussions and thoughts. What you all do is critical, and we can't do it. We recognize that. We also know that, for instance, we just did a story this weekend on our Facebook page with some Denver Broncos who rode along with us. Well, several local news outlets are carrying that story. That's great for us, too. So no, we don't have animosity towards the news. I mean, there's times we disagree. We also believe that we can tell our story better than the news at times. You have time constraints, profit constraints, lots of stories you have to choose from. And there are times we want to tell a story, which we can do on social media at any length we feel like. And so, you know, that may be what you're sensing, but no, absolutely we don't feel an animosity towards the press.
DPD Deputy Chief Matt Murray, thank you for coming in, agreeing to a last-minute interview, and thanks for having an important discussion. We are in agreement that this is an important issue, and I hope we can continue the conversation.
Thanks, Kyle.
Thank you.